Hey guys, Cal here, and welcome to my full Aerosoft Airbus Extended X tutorial. This would be a tutorial showing you how to do a full flight in the Aerosoft Airbus, including pretty much everything you need to know from a turnaround state. This is not from cold and dark, it's from a turnaround. If you want to see a cold and dark, then I'll probably do another tutorial on a later date, but I go from turnaround state because I just find it quicker and a lot more, well, easier to set up, I guess. So we're going to get straight into this, and the first thing that you really want to do is get a flight plan for whatever flight you want to do. So today I'm going to do a flight from Manchester, which is EGCC, and we're going down to, I believe, Bristol, which is EGGD. Now the first thing you want to do obviously is get a flight, so head to your browser, and the route finder that I would recommend using is a website called simbrief.com. It's a really good route finder. I use it a lot, pretty much for all of my flights. You will need an account to use the flight planning systems, but it's simple. You just need to obviously make an account and log in. So I'm gonna keep myself logged in so that if I have to come back to this page, then I don't have to log in again. So when you got an account and you're on this page, you want to head to dispatch and then just create a new flight. And then you're on this page. So you then fill in all this data with like what airline you're doing. If you're doing a flight number, you can make one up, it doesn't really matter. I'm flying with EasyJet today, so I'm going to put in easy, and then I'm just going to make up a flight number, so I'll pick randomly from one of these. That one will do. So we're going from EGCC, which is the depart ICAO code for Manchester, or sorry, the ICAO code for Manchester, and you put that in depart, which is where we're taking off from, and then we're arriving at the EGGD, which is Bristol, and that's going to then calculate a route such as alternate places and whatnot. So now just put in your airframe. I'm going to be doing it in an Airbus A319. This does work for pretty much all of the Airbuses though, so it doesn't really matter. So it then just tells us this information. We're departing from runway 23 left and arriving at runway 27. It's going to calculate stuff like altitude and passengers. I'm actually going to take 125 passengers today. The max that the Airbus A319 can take is 156. Obviously that's going to change depending on what aircraft you fly. So just fill in all that. It's going to bring with this route here. You can use this as your route, but I'm going to show you an easier way. So when you've filled in all that, click generate OFP, click yes, and it's going to generate yourself a flight plan. So you've just got to wait for this to load and generate. There's not really a lot you can do. It doesn't take too long. It takes like 10 seconds, but and that's that. So it's going to take you to this page now, where, as you can see, it's got all of your details. So your airline, your flight number, aircraft, etc. And it's generated that our cruise altitude is flight level 200, which is obviously 20,000 feet. It says, or it's telling us that we're going to be in the air for about half an hour, which is not really a bad flight. I like shorter flights. And it's obviously telling us our routing. As I said, you can use this routing. I will show you a way in the Airbus that you can use this routing to get your flight plan, or sorry, to generate your flight plan into the Airbus, but I'm going to show you another way as well. So I'm going to keep this page open after this because obviously it's telling us how much fuel we need to take, and it's also telling us like routing and stuff. So you want to head down to the bottom and download it for the Aerosoft Airbus. It's going to just open a new page and download it. You can then just close that. Then hit open folder and drag and drop it into flight plans. Now, if your flight plans folder isn't here like it is for me, you want to head to Documents, Aerosoft, Airbus, and then Flight Plans, and it's all here. And then you can just close out that, and it's all good. And that's pretty much everything you need to do outside of the simulator. Now, it mentions us needing we'll just say 4.4 kilograms or tons of fuel, sorry. Now, there's two ways you can load this fuel onto your aircraft. You can open up the built-in fuel planner, fuel loader that comes with the Aerosoft. And then you can obviously fill in your departure and arrival iCal codes, and then it's gonna generate like the amount of fuel you need to take. It's telling us that we're gonna need to take 5.2 tons, but I do not trust this. But if you do want to, then you can just fill it all out. It's going to generate your fuel. Then you just want to hit generate load sheet, and then I'll show you how you can load it into that. We're not going to be using that today, so we're going to hit exit. And I'm just going to minimize this and go into our simulator. So, as you see, I'm in our Airbus A319. We're at Manchester at Gate 1. So we're going to head into the cockpit and begin setting everything up. So the first thing you want to do, as we go for a turnaround state, you're going to head over here, hit aircraft state, and select turnaround state. And that will put you into this kind of state as if you've just arrived and you're doing whatever. So now that we're in this, you want to head over and hit load stroke fuel. Now, if you're loading the fuel like how I showed you with the built-in fuel planner, then you hit generate load sheet, and then you just come here and then you click load sheet, and it's going to load everything in, and then you can just start boarding. But the way that we're going to do it is like manually, I guess. So as I said earlier, we're taking 125 passengers, put that into PAX, and you can start boarding. I'm not taking any cargo, so you can just hit 0 and put that into cargo. And then head back over to sim brief, and it tells us that we need to take 4,396 kilograms of fuel. So I'm going to round that up to 4.4 kilograms because it's 4.4 tons. So put 4.4 tons and put that into fuel, and then you can start loading fuel. And that's everything done. At this point, I would just turn on the checklists. If this is your first flight in an Airbus, then I would recommend doing these checklists.
Cockpit preparation checklist.
Engine master.
Both off.
Engine mode selector.
Checked normal.
Parking brake.
Off.
Thrust levers.
Idle.
ECAM recall.
Checked.
Anti-skid.
On.
Emergency lights.
Checked and armed.
No smoking signs.
On.
Air condition.
Checked.
Ventilation panel.
Is checked.
Fuel pumps.
Set on.
Adheres.
Checked.
Checklist complete.
Okay, so as I was saying, I would recommend using the checklist if you're new to flying the Airbus, because it's going to completely set up the whole cockpit for you, and it's going to pretty much do everything for you on the whole flight. And it's the easy way, I guess, of flying the Aerosoft. Now, if you're looking for a bit more of a challenge, and you can learn all of these checklists off by heart, just turn on checklist, but not Copilot, and it'll read out the things, but you will have to be doing it rather than the Copilot doing it all and flicking all the buttons. So now that we're here, we can't. It's telling us to close the doors, but we can't close the doors until all of the passengers are on and all of the fuel is loaded. So while that's doing that, we're going to head over to this MTDU and hit the init page. Now, when you're brought to this page, you're going to want to work from stroke 2 and then down, because if you work down, then it's going to reset when you put this in. It makes 100% sense, but so from stroke 2, this is our departure airport to our arrival airport, and we want to fill in the iCal codes for this. So for Manchester, it's EGCC, and then for Bristol, it's EGGD. I'm going to put that in there. Now, as you can see, it's come up with this. This is the sim brief route that we downloaded and put into our flight plans folder. That's one of the ways you can load the flight plan. The other way is if you head to flight plan, then hit EGCC departure, and then you go over here, and if you remember correctly, it told us that we were leaving on 23 left, and then you want to select your departure route, which, don't want to click that. If you see it's DCT, I think, or not, I don't know. Actually, yeah, I really don't know. Okay, I forget how you do it, but what you do is you just like fill in all the waypoints through that, by just inserting it and then going there, nope, there, airways, and then filling in these waypoints by putting from to, and just do it each waypoint like that. So that's one of the ways. I know I probably didn't explain it clearly, but this is the easier way you can do it. If you head, or if you just type back in these iCal codes, you won't have to do this, but because I didn't select the flight plan, I have to. So EGCC to EGGD, put that in there, select this flight plan, and then if we look at flight plan, we can see that it's loaded everything in for us. Real quick, what you want to do is just head down the flight plan, delete any discontinuities, just because otherwise it'll mess up your flight plan, and you know. And then, well, when you've done that, you can do the arrival already now. I'm gonna do it now rather than when we're in the air. We can do it in the air, but it really doesn't matter when you do it, or as long as you do it before you actually have to do it, then you're good. So just head back over to the init page, and then punch in your flight number, which is obviously easy, and then what was it, 15616, and put that into flight number. The cost index for EasyJet I know is 6. It's going to be different depending on what different airline you fly with. It doesn't matter, to be honest. It's just like the fuel efficiency, I guess. And then your cruise flight level, which if we look is telling us is 20,000 feet, so we can just put in 200, and that's going to log in flight level 200 and the outside temperature for that flight level. Then hit the right arrow, and as we can see, it's telling us block. This is the amount of fuel that we're taking with us for the flight, which is 4.40. If it tells you something different here, then just round it up to the nearest 100 and just program it. It's not 100% important. It's just like it's generating your like trip time and stuff. So 4.40 and put that into block. Okay, never mind, my bad. Just type in 4.4 and put that in there. You don't have to put the 0, I guess. And then it's going to come up with all these green numbers, and that's all you have to do. Then you can head over to the perfs page and then select your flaps for takeoff. We're going to be taking off at flaps 1 today. If you're doing it on a shorter runway, then you can take off at flaps 2 or even flaps 3. But flaps 1, because obviously it's Manchester, it's quite a long runway, so we don't need to go flaps 2. I forgot to mention, you don't have to do this, but if you do, if you fill in the init page, then that is like the raw minimum you're going to need to do the flight, and flight plan, obviously. So that's pretty much everything. You want to pay attention to this number here. Just round that up again to the nearest whatever. So we'll say 1,800. That's the point at which, after takeoff, we throttle back and select climb thrust, pitch the nose down, and begin climbing to cruise level. That's the altitude that we do that. So that is pretty much the whole thing set up. We've got everyone on board, all the fuel is loaded. Now real quick, like I said, you can do this when you're at cruise, but I'm going to do it now just because I'll forget otherwise. So to program your approach and descent and everything, head to this bottom button, which is your destination, and hit arrival. And now, if you remember correctly, it told us we were going to be landing at runway 27, and then head back to here, and it's telling us that we're going on the BRI-1A arrival. So just select that and hit insert, and then once again head down the flight plan and delete any discontinuities that there may be, and then hit insert. And that's your whole flight plan programmed in. It's gonna fly this manually for you. You don't have to. Well, you'll see later on in the video. So we're now done, ready to do whatever. We're ready to depart. So head over to here and go to checklist. No, aircraft doors, and close the doors, and that's gonna start, or sorry, it's gonna initiate a new checklist. And if you want to, then you can head outside and watch all the doors closing. Oh, that's too late. Never mind. So head back into the cockpit, and
Captain, the cabin is secure. All passengers are aboard.
you'll hear that, and then it's going to start a new checklist.
Before start checklist.
Windows and doors.
Closed and locked.
APU.
Set on.
APU bleed.
Okay, so at this point, it's going to take a bit of a pause. As you saw, it did it all automatically. I didn't click anything. What you're basically waiting for is you're just waiting for this number here to reach 100. It's just while the APU bleed is getting ready or whatever. You haven't done anything wrong. It's just waiting for that. There's not really anything you can do to speed it up or anything. You've just got to wait, and then it'll continue on with the checklist.
Set on.
External power.
Disconnected and off.
Cabin signs.
Set on.
Thrust levers.
Idle.
Parking brake.
Set on.
Bearer reference.
Set 1016.
1016. Check. Beacon lights.
Set on.
Checklist complete.
Alright, so that's done. We're now ready for pushback, so just... Right. There's a certain thing with the pushback. You have to program it yourself, so if you head back in here, and then there's two ways you can do it. You can just press the one key on your keyboard, or you can just hit the checklist, and then start push or start. If you're obviously if you're not at a gate, then you can just start without needing a pushback. But if we did that without a pushback, we're just gonna head straight into that terminal. So we're gonna do a start and push. Now it's gonna bring us to this. We have to configure the pushback. Now there's no set way of knowing how far you need to be pushed back or anything like that. You just have to take a random guess and hope you get it right. If there's no other aircraft around you, like there's one over there, but it's not really doing anything. But if there's aircraft here and here, then you got to be careful with it. But as there's not, then it doesn't matter if we go a little bit too short. So I'm just going to take a wild guess and say that that is 60 degrees. So we're going to program right 60 degrees, and the way that you know if you have to go left or right is if you hit to the back, then obviously you think of the tail goes either right or left, and that's the way you know that if you want it to either go right or left. So we're just going to start that pushback.
Flight deck to ground.
Hope that we got it right.
Ground, we have ATC clearance for push and start. Please confirm ground equipment and services are clear.
Roger. The ground equipment and stairs are clear, all doors are closed. Steering pin is in position and we're ready when you are, Captain.
Start pushback.
Roger, sir. Please release your parking brakes.
Just release your parking brake.
Parking brakes released.
Manually.
Start and pushback. You can start both engines at your discretion, Captain.
Okay.
Okay, so we told so we can start the engines. It says start engine 2. Head down to this and flick this switch, or right click it to ignition start, and left
Starting
click
engine 2.
As you can see, we're now pushing back. Hopefully we got it at least half decent. As you can see, we're turning early. We're going to stop quite early, but as there's no planes that are at risk of us smashing into, we're completely fine.
Engine 2 is stabilized.
So when your guy says that, then you can start engine 1,
Starting number 1.
and then that's what you really need to do until it's over. As you can see, it wasn't a bad pushback. I've already got the amount of I just about got the amount of degrees right, but if I would have gone 1 or 2 meters to the left, then I would have nailed it. But as I said, there's no way of actually knowing, so just gotta wait for engine 1
Engine
to
1 is stabilized.
Pushback is complete, Captain. Please set your parking brakes.
Set your parking brake.
Parking brakes are set.
Okay then, Captain. Tow bar disconnected. Your no steering pin is removed. All clear. Signal on the right. Have a good run, sir.
Okay, so real quick, you want to head to perf, and as you can see, it's telling us that flaps and that thing is saying up 0.8. That's talking about
After
your
start
trim.
checklist.
Set that 9 times.
Engine mode selector.
Set.
APU bleed.
Set off.
APU master.
Set off.
Ground spoilers.
Set.
Rudder trim.
Checked 0.
Pitch trim.
Checked.
Flight controls.
Okay, so I'll explain that picture a little bit more when this checklist is over. But at this point, you need to grab your joystick or your yoke or whatever you're using to control your aircraft and pull it all the way to the left,
Full left.
and then all the way to the right,
Full right.
then back to neutral,
Neutral.
then pull it all the way back,
Full up.
push it all the way down,
Full down.
bring back to neutral. If you're doing this with like rudders or like manual rudder, then you'd have to do it with that as well, by just doing left then right, but I'm not using that, so don't worry about that.
Neutral.
Check. Flaps.
Flaps 1.
Anti-ice.
Off.
Ecam status.
Checked.
Ecam door page.
Checked.
Hand signal.
Received.
Checklist complete.
Okay, so we can now begin taxiing, but real quick what I'll do is I'll explain this whole pitch trim to you. You just want to head down here, and if it says up 0.8, then you want to set this to 0.8, but on the Airbus for some reason, you have to click it one more time than what it actually says. So if this says like 0.9, click it 10 times. I have no idea why this is, but it's just the way it is. That's how you set your pitch trim. If you didn't set it right, then at pitch trim on the checklist, it'll just say, it won't say checked. Just mess around with it until you get it right and he says checked. But if you don't want to just have to mess around with it, it doesn't matter a whole lot, but just hit skip item and it will go to the next bit on the checklist. So now we can start taxiing to our runway. As you know, we're taking on runway 23 left, which I believe is this one. No, this one over here. I think. Wait. Yeah, so we got to cross this other runway to get to it, but that's where we're headed. So we can start taxiing. Move your parking brake, throttle up to about 30%. And make sure you follow the taxi lines on the ground. FPS isn't fantastic, but it's just because I'm recording
Taxiing checklist.
while I'm playing. So
No slide.
Set
put it back
on.
to neutral.
Brake check.
So at this point, you just need to press your brake briefly and release it.
Brake check.
Pedal pressed. Checked 0.
Check. Auto brakes.
Max.
Takeoff data.
Reviewed.
FCU.
Checked.
Slide instruments.
Checked.
Checked. TO config.
Set.
Checklist complete.
So I don't know what way we actually have to go to get to our runway, but I'm just going to take a wild guess and hope that I go the right way. It looks like we're heading in generally the right direction. I mean, so we're not using ATC, so we don't really have to stop, but it's always best just to check if nothing's coming into land or taking off.
Approaching 2, 4,
Good God, why is that? Okay, so that's coming out of the wrong speed for some reason, so let's put off with that. It basically just says that when you're approaching a runway or when you're on a runway. I know I just completely went off the taxi lines there, but never mind. So make sure that you don't go too fast while taxiing. Around 10 to 20 knots is about the right taxiing speed. There's no set way of knowing how fast you're actually going while taxiing because it starts at 40 on the number thing. So just make sure that you don't go above 40 really, and make sure that you're not going too fast, that you don't really have a lot of control over the aircraft, and you're good. So that clicking that you can hear, that's just me adjusting the throttle. It does have a few click things. It climb thrust at flex and at toga. I mean, that's just when they actually, that's just like positions at which they
approaching
can,
2, 4, left.
which they can like lock, or the throttle can lock in. It's not any buttons that being pressed that you need to know about.
Approaching 2, 4, left. On runway 2, 4, left.
It's saying 2-4 left, but I'm pretty sure it's 2-3 left. Oh, right, no, it's not. Slow down a little bit. Switch to this view. Okay, so it's obviously wrong. It's only 09 and 24. But we're going from 2-3, so we'll just say that it's that. You just want to stop here, or while
Flight
you're rolling,
attendant, seats for takeoff.
begin the before takeoff check.
Before takeoff checklist.
Brake temperature.
Checked.
Brake fans.
Off.
Engine mode selector.
Checked normal.
TCAS.
TARA, tilt above.
Exterior lights.
Set on.
Sliding tables.
Stowed.
Stowed. Checklist complete.
Okay, so we can now set our takeoff thrust. This is we can take off now. So like I said, just with this is the right runway. It doesn't say that it is for some reason. It's obviously like either wrong and change. But It's only this for a number of airports. It won't be this for all airports. Just make sure you're taking off on the right one, or on the one that your flight plan says that you're taking off of. So as you can see, it's pretty much dead center with this runway. So we know it's the right runway that way. But now we can just take off. So what you want to do is you want to grab your throttle, set it to 50%. Let the engine stabilize, and then put it so it clicks once, then clicks twice,
Takeoff.
and that will
Man
put it into
flex
flex.
SRS.
Check.
You can go toga, but as I said, only if it's a short runway.
Power set. 100 knots.
Checked.
And now you've just got to listen to V1 rotate.
V1. Rotate.
So rotate, pull back on the throttle, and follow the green crosshair.
Positive climb.
Gear up.
Gear up.
Navigation.
Check.
And we're up. Okay, so remember that altitude I told you
Gears
that
up,
we round
lights off.
from Perth page, that we rounded up to 1,800. This is the point at which you want to pay attention to that number. So we're now there.
Climb
So-
thrust.
So put it back so that it clicks once, and then pitch your nose down. As you can see, it's saying on the right hand thing, auto throttle limited. That means we've obviously just shifted it out of climb thrust a little bit. Just adjust your throttle slightly until it goes back into climb thrust. And that's why you need to keep your throttle now for the rest of the flight. It's gonna,
Flap zero.
That's pretty much our auto throttle. It says,
VTEC flap 0.
I know it's called climb thrust, but
The
it
after
literally
takeoff checklist.
throttles the whole flight, so you don't have to worry about changing
Engine
it now.
mode selector.
Doesn't make a whole
Check
lot of sense,
normal.
but
Spoilers.
Disarmed.
Flaps.
Check retracted.
Landing gear.
Gear up. Lights off.
I'm going to start
Exterior
manual
lights.
banking just to follow the green.
Set
crosshair.
off.
Tax.
Both on.
Anti-ice.
Off.
TCAS.
Checked.
Altimeter.
1016.
1016. Checked. Checklist complete.
Okay, so when you feel comfortable that you're heading the right way and that the plane is stable, then you can just flick autopilot 1 or AP1,
Autopilot on.
and that's going to now fly for you. So we're coming up to transition, but it sounds like we can climb to cruise altitude. We're not using A to C, so we're just going to set manually our cruise altitude and right click it. And we
Transition
can
altitude.
ignore any limits and stuff.
Arrow reference set and cross check.
If you were to be
Check.
using ATC though, you would have to pay attention to restrictions and transition, etc. So, as we're not using ATC, we can just climb to cruise level without having to worry about that. So now that we're up, that's pretty much everything that needs doing. This pink dot I think indicates when you get to 10,000 feet, or it estimates when they think that, or when the plane thinks that you're going to get to 10,000 feet. That's the point at which the lights will go off. So again, it's all automatic.
Passing 10,000 feet.
Lights off.
And we're going to flick the seatbelt signs into
Off.
auto. Boeing 737 about 9 nautical miles away, just to our, about 11 o'clock. Something really cool about the Aerosoft is that there's all the cabin announcements, like they're all inside. So like you can hear the flight crew speaking to the passengers and stuff. So we're about 12,000 feet, 8,000 feet away from cruise altitude, so we're well over halfway. There's not a lot really now to be done until the top of descent, so just gonna wait until we get to cruise. You can flick around with these switches, and as you can see, this blue line here it indicates that we're about 11 nautical miles away from top of climb and cruise altitude. So at that line is when obviously we're going to stop climbing, we're going to be cruising, and then if we flip again and again, there's this white line right here. This white line indicates descent. So we got this little stretch here is our cruise basically. So that white line is the bit at which is going to be anything else to do. Until then there's like nothing. So I'm going to take the opportunity to just show you around, or show you some other cool little systems and stuff on the aircraft. So stuff like this seat back here, the jump seat, you can left click that and it's going to come out, and then you can obviously right click it and it'll go back. When you're on the ground, you can click this lever here, you can click it in mid-flight but it's not going to do anything. But you can click it and this window will open, and I think you can do it on that side as well. Yeah, you can. So that's that. You see this screen up here. If you head down here and hit this black button with video, it's kind of like a little CCTV camera of somewhere. And there's all these other systems. So there's this stuff down here like the weather radar. I'm not going to mess around with that because I don't really know how to work myself yet. You can see this tear on ND. That's the terrain thing. So you can put it on. It's going to show you the terrain and stuff and what's around. As you can see, there's no real terrain. Like these green bits are the terrain threats and stuff. And the blue stuff is obviously the water. You can just right click it and turn it back off. These up here, you can right click this and it will go into flight plan mode. And then if you go into flight plan, then each individual waypoint that you scroll through is going to be the one that it focuses on. So we can scan on ahead and we can see that here's our top descent. That's taken away what I was going to show you next. If we flip back into that real quick. You can pull up the flight tables, and it's got stuff like things you need to check for separate parts of the flight. And then you can obviously right click it and put it back in. These flight computer screens, the brightness of them can be adjusted. So if you come over here and just right click the knobs until you get the brightness that you want. I think that was actually doing it for these middle ones. Or it's doing it for something. I don't know what it was doing it for. So as you can see here, this the weather radar is on. This is a little bit. This is showing a little bit of weather going left. It's going a bit over there, or maybe it might be there. I don't know. And then obviously these dials also change the brightness. So as you can see, this one here is generated or changing the brightness for this, and there's another one that's changing the brightness there for this flight computer here. As you can see now we are cruising. That's about everything. There might be a few other things, but as you can see it's telling us now that the descent preparation checklist is going to start in 26 miles, or we can initiate it manually. The descent preparation checklist is basically a checklist that obviously occurs as you're preparing into descent, to descend, sorry. It usually happens when you're about 10 miles away from this white line which indicates the descent. So that's the main thing that's going to happen now. As you can see, we're only cruising for about 30 miles. Because this is obviously a short flight. But that is pretty much everything to do. As I said, the next bit of action that actually goes on is that descent preparation checklist. So I'm just gonna pause the video, or sorry, I'm gonna pause the recording for a bit, and it will pick back up at descent. So I'll see you at descent.
Seatbelt signs.
Auto.
Anti-ice.
Off.
Landing information.
Received.
Altimeter.
Standard.
Landing elevation.
Set.
Bearer radio.
Set.
Checklist complete.
Okay, so that was the descent preparation checklist. As you can see, we're closing in on this white line. It's less than 10 miles away now. So that was the descent preparation checklist. We've just got to wait now as we approach on the top of descent, and we have to initiate descent manually. So real quick, what you want to do is you want to head down to your flight plan page, and you want to head all the way to the bottom to these two ILS. As you can see, there's these two numbers right here with a little pink star next to them. You want to look at the one which is 2 zeros at the end rather than just one, and that's the altitude of which you want to descend to. So come up to your autopilot and just program that in. If it's a number like 2,500, then you can scroll wheel the black bit, and it's going to change it from 1,000 to 100, and then you can just put in the more specific altitude. I'll explain more how you can get these altitudes as we're descending, but right now we're just going to wait and then until we get as close to this white line as possible, and then we're going to left click this to initiate descent. Okay, so we're going to initiate descent
Initiating descent.
FMA check.
Radar tilt.
now. And we are now descending.
Set below.
So, as we're descending, you'll see that there's this pink circle here going up and down. That pink circle indicates the altitude at which we need to be at if we're to continue, or if that's our planned descent, or planned altitude at which point we need to be in descent. As long as you're on it, then there's nothing to worry about. If you're below it, then you can apply a little bit of speed brake just to get back on. If you're above it, then you obviously need to descend faster, but if you are above it, then there's not really a lot you can do about it, I'm afraid. So, but as long as you initiate it at the right time, then then that won't happen. So now that we're descending, I can explain a few other things to you. This altitude here, this is like the ILS altitude, I guess. It's usually the top altitude. Like, as you can see, there's two pink stars, and it's usually the top one. I'm not sure what the bottom one is for, but it's usually the top one. And the way that you can check it, obviously, is if there is 2 zeros, then that's the most likely altitude you can descend to. So if there's anyone that actually knows this stuff, then don't scream at me. This is the way that I've done it for ages, and I'm pretty sure that's the way that it works. So as you can see, I think here we're flying over Wales. I think that might be Cardiff over there. This here is the River Severn. This is obviously the river that comes in from the the channel thingy that separates Ireland and England. It comes in from there, basically. So, yeah, there's not really a lot now that you can do. You just gotta wait as we descend. As you can see, we're below our assigned altitude for some apparent reason. But it looks like we have leveled out. I'm not really sure what's going on. Okay, so it looks like our top of descent has changed for some apparent reason, so we're gonna wait on that. I'm not sure why that's happened, it hasn't actually happened to me before. But I guess if it just happens, then we're just gonna initiate our descent again. Okay, so it looks like it's automatically descending for us. Okay, so I'm not quite sure why that happened, but I guess if it does happen, don't worry about it, it will sort itself out. I guess now we can just wait while we descend. That's quite weird. So when we get to 10,000 feet, one thing that you can do is just head up here and flick these seatbelt signs back into on. I usually do that at about 10,000 feet. It is an auto, so if they do need to come on between then and now, then it will automatically come on. But it's best to just put them on into on so that they don't go off for whatever reason. So yeah, there's not really a lot that you can do now until we get to then, until 10,000 feet, because that's when a few more things start happening. So one little warning I'd just like to give you: built-in simulation rate. I wouldn't recommend changing this beyond 4 times speed. I've gone up to 4 times speed before, just as like a test, and it seemed fine. I went up to 16, and it was just like crazy. Like the aircraft for some reason went vertical, like it pitched up to vertical, and then just stalled completely. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend going there. I haven't tried it on 8, but I honestly wouldn't recommend doing it just in case. 4 should be fine. If you're the kind of person that changes simulation rate, I don't really much. I try to do it till I find when I can, because it's against the flight rules. So if you are the kind of person that does simulation rate, then you can only go up to about 4 times in this Aerosoft. As you can see down there, this is the or one of the 7 bridges. There is 2 7 bridges, which obviously are bridges that connect England and Wales by the river. It's, well, yeah, Bristol and Wales, I guess. I think this is the old one here. This is the new one. The new one is obviously longer. This being the old one down here. They are quite long. They do take a good few minutes to get over, but they're really cool to go on. I like the structure of them. This down here I believe is Frome Airport, not Frome, Bilton Airport. And then Bristol Airport is actually somewhere over here, it's kind of covered by so yeah, that's Bilton there, which is an airport that is closed. It's no longer used, I think it's turned into housing estate. There is actually a Concorde there, which is like sitting on the tarmac, not doing anything. So again, a nice little bit of a geography for us. Before we descend over Wales into England. Like I said, Bristol Airport should be somewhere over here. That I do believe is Frome. Oh, Filton Airport. It's Frome. It's Filton Airport. So we've surpassed 10,000 feet now, so we're going to flick these seatbelt signs into on. And as you can see, we're already picking up the localizer things. as you can see, we're going to be taking a little bit of a weird route in. We're going to go all the way in and around. So, that's that. According to the weather radar, there's a little bit of bad weather over there, which means I'm heading this way. This is where I am in real life. So hopefully it goes that way, not this way, which is where I want to get it through. So as you can see, here's for a bit of a better view of the two separate bridges. Like I said, really big bridges, and they're actually owned by France. No idea why, but yeah. So there's Dalton Airport. For some reason they closed Dalton Airport and used Bristol Airport as the name on it, even though Dalton is a lot bigger airport, got a longer runway, command A380. So if they would have kept this place open and used this main airport, then I don't think I get a bit of a bigger international thing. Manually activate MTD approach phase. Oh. Never come across this before. There we go. So we'll just manually activate the approach phase. I don't know why we had to do that, but well, that's how you do it. Just head into perf and then activate approach phase. At this point I'm going to take manual speed control and we're going to slow down to where this below this green dot, so I'm going to go to about 170. You just want to make sure that you're not going too slow on your approach. 160 is generally a good approach kind of speed, and then obviously you can put it back in and it's going to slow you down to around 130 to 140 knots for landing.
Flaps 1.
Speed check, flaps 1.
So it's going to arm all different flaps for you and stuff, so you don't have to do that. And now that we're within range, you can obviously just turn this down to 10, so that you can get a bit more detailed view of your approach. According to the map, we are about flying directly over the airport now. Oh, here it is. Here's where we're landing. Not sure if you can actually do this in real life, but do it in the simulator, I guess.
Transition altitude.
Barrow reference set and cross-checked. 1013.
1013. Checked.
So it is a bit of a weird approach. I don't know if I've actually ever done this approach before. Where you fly right over the airport and then turn around and come in. So we're going to be coming in that way. So, yeah, okay. So as you can see by the pink dot, we're still right on our aligned altitude. Although this diamond is below us. We need to be on that diamond for landing, really. Getting a little bit concerned with that. Actually, right, we should be good actually, because I think the diamond applies from where these pink dots are, and by the looks of things, we're going to be descended right on the pink dot. So, as long as we're descended by then, we should be absolutely fine. Rather cloudy here, isn't it? Oh, that just dropped like a bloody rock. That's quite funny. So yeah, as you can see, the diamond's coming into view now. We're absolutely fine.
2,500.
2,500.
2,500.
So what you can do now is when you go to final, you can turn on the localizer, and that's gonna get you lined up with the runway basically.
2,500.
So yeah, get rid of 2,500. I'm a little bit concerned that we're gonna overshoot this turn.
Localizer alive.
We did.
Localizer captured.
Right, so we're on the localizer. That's good. As long as we manage to straighten ourselves out, then we should be absolutely fine. So what you can probably do now is you can arm the approach button, and
It's
that's going to get you
captured.
lined up, and it's going to also calculate when you need to descend. So as you can see now we're descending. That means we've captured the glide slope, and this is going to line us up perfectly for a landing. At this point you can slow yourself down,
Flaps 2.
and it's
Speed
going to
check,
do
flaps two.
flaps and stuff for you.
Gear down.
Gear down.
Gonna put the gear and stuff down so we're all good. Now when it says set VAPP target speed, just left click this, and it's gonna bring us down to the our landing
Flaps
speed.
3.
Speed check. Flaps 3.
It's best to probably use a computer landing when
Flaps
you're in
full.
scale of this, because I can see the runway.
Speed check. Flaps full.
It's just there, but it is
1,000.
see, so
Approaching 27.
Landing
There it goes again.
checklist.
1,000.
Landing gear.
Down and locked, 3 greens.
Ground spoilers.
Checked and armed.
Auto brakes.
Medium.
Exterior lights.
On.
Go around altitude.
Set.
Landing
running through the
memo.
landing checklist.
Checked no blue.
Checklist complete.
Still very low cloud.
500.
Lined up complete with the runway, and it's gonna also land for us.
400.
Holy hell, this is webbing.
300 above. 200 minimum.
Continue.
Now, when we hit the ground, we want to hold
100.
F2, and that's gonna put on the reverse thrusters.
70, 60, 50, 40, 30, 20. Retard, retard, retard,
That means
retard.
idle the throttle. And now that we're down, we can enable the reverse thrusters.
Ground spoilers. Reverse green. 70 knots.
When we get to 60, we can
900 meters remaining.
just take manual control.
Manual brakes.
off the
Auto brakes
throttle,
off.
and turn off the auto throttle and idle throttle. And that's telling us to leave the runway, of which we will when we can. I think we kind of miss our exit. We'll put that there. So we're going to have to go down the actual runway, which I'm pretty sure we're not supposed to do. Oops. It's okay, there's no other planes around. We're good. We should slow ourselves down to a right speed. Alright, so that's that. We're just gonna head over now and park. Gonna have a little bit more of a longer taxi to
APU
parking than
on.
After landing checklist.
but oops.
Exterior lights,
Checked.
ground spoilers,
Set off.
engine mode selector,
Checked normal.
flaps,
Checked retracted.
TCAS,
Checked standby.
brake temperature,
Checked.
APU,
On.
checklist complete.
So that was the penultimate checklist, but one more checklist when we stop and bring the engines up. So we've got on a taxi line. Luckily there's no other planes around, so we're not getting in their way. Throttle up a little bit. Nearly there. And now we just gotta find a place to park. Put it down the road and park it. And then right where the yellow line stops, where we could be doing that for a bit more aircraft actually. Okay, so we have shot a little bit, but never mind. So we can set our parking brake now. We can turn off both the engines by right-clicking them. And that's that done. It's gonna have a parking checklist.
And the parking checklist.
Parking brake and chocks,
Ow, I punched my microphone on accident.
Chocks are set. Parking brakes released.
engine master,
Both off.
seatbelt signs,
Set off.
beacon lights,
Set off.
exterior lights,
Set off.
anti-ice,
Off.
fuel pumps,
Set off.
checklist complete.
And that's that. That was the full flight. That's everything you need to know about how you can fly an Airbus. I hope this tutorial was quite easy to understand, and I hope that I hope that you did learn something. So that's it. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next time.